Okay, so I've got good news and I've got bad news. Let's start with the bad news. This season has pretty much been a worst case scenario for the Edmonton Oilers. They continue to lead the league in man games lost to injury, and they lead in the greatest cumulative impact of injured forwards and defensemen. So basically, they have had the most injuries and the most significant ones. Double bonus. They've also lost a league-leading 12 one-goal games in regulation. And if you count games where they let in an empty netter, that total goes up to 17, which means no team has played more close games and come up with nothing. They've also found themselves on the wrong end of at least 5 video review calls that cost them potential points in the standings. I don't like to rag on officiating, but this has been tough to swallow because these are reviewable plays, and the league has an opportunity to get the call right after making the incorrect call on the ice. It's not like they just missed something and the play continues and you have to forget about it and move on. Now, I'm not whining here. I'm just describing the reality that this season has been. Okay, now for the bad news.
What? You've already told us all the bad news.
I did?
Yes.
Oh. Well, I guess it's all bad news then. Edmonton's going to be in really tough to win games down the stretch for 3 reasons. 1, they're missing their top two-way center and their top two-way defenseman, possibly for the rest of the year. And if you'll allow me to just vent here for a second, when people like Nick Kypreos say that there's not enough room at center in Edmonton for Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, and McDavid, so Nugent Hopkins needs to be the odd man out, I just want to slap them in the side of the head. Right now, with Nugent Hopkins out, Edmonton's top 2 centers aren't even old enough to legally drink in the United States. Nugent Hopkins is an extremely valuable player for the Oilers. I'm not sure what is so hard to understand about just moving Draisaitl to the wing. They did it for 3 games earlier in the year, and it worked out great. You can never have too many centers. It's obvious to me that the Oilers are not as good of a hockey team with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins out of the lineup. And the other thing that drives me nuts is when people trash the Oilers because they have no defense, and they completely ignore Oscar Klefbom. They love to trumpet the fact that the Oilers drafted all these one-dimensional forwards, but you can't win because you don't have any defense. Well, the Oilers did a lot of things right with this guy. They actually drafted and developed him properly. He was leading the team in ice time per game and was on pace for 11 goals and 22 assists before he got hurt. Since he got hurt, the Oilers have 5 regulation wins in 30 games. He is an extremely valuable player for Edmonton because he's a good player at a weak position. Again, the Oilers are not as good of a hockey team without him in the lineup, and I have a feeling he's going to miss the rest of the season. Secondly, I am a huge fan of the TV series 24. As a matter of fact, whenever I call one of my family members, one of the first questions I usually ask them is this a secure line? There may have actually been a short period of time in my life where I actually thought I was Jack Bauer. Anyway, Bauer was notorious for his sense of urgency.
I don't know what this man has told you, but we need to find that nerve gas now, and I mean immediately, before it is too late.
And in all situations, like when he couldn't remember his friend's phone number.
What's the number? I don't know. I tell you, I swear.
And then, once he got the number, someone else was using the phone.
Put the phone down. Put the phone down now.
Now, if we learned anything from the last 3 games, it's that teams in the playoff race are playing with the same sense of urgency as Jack Bauer. They need to win. The Oilers are not matching that urgency because they're out of the playoff race. Yes, they want to win, but they don't need to win. That doesn't bode well for winning many of the final 22 games of this season. And finally, the Oilers don't have a captain. And at a time like this, when the season is lost and the team is struggling and the fans are starting to get angry, they need someone to step up and lead the way. In my opinion, the team was auditioning Hall for that role earlier this year, but his play has regressed significantly since the All-Star break. McDavid and Nurse are way too young to be given any leadership responsibilities. So Edmonton might lose their way if the leadership is not addressed internally or through trade between now and the end of the season. I know this all seems really doom and gloom, so if I can leave you on a positive note, or I guess just give you some advice, it's this. Do not embrace the tank. Do not cheer for the Oilers to lose. I didn't even watch the draft lottery last year. I actually forgot that it was on. I was at a birthday party and my phone just started ringing off the hook when the Oilers won. Cheer for the Oilers to win as many games as possible down the stretch, play their way out of the bottom 5, and finish with their highest point total in 6 years. I'll see you next week.